As Bitcoin reaches its fingers above the 200 daily moving average for the first time in 3 months, and Ethereum backtests its largest local resistance as support. Is the crypto market ready for a second breakout larger than all previous mommy makeouts combined? With Bitcoin right now testing its final giant resistance before all-time highs, could an earth-shattering pullback be the perfect scenario to lure the bears into one giant final mega short squeeze? You know what they say, the only thing better than 2 mommies sharing a passionate evening together is 3 mommies. I'm your host Spencer Spit and Spladoosh, and after weeks of thrusting straight into the nether regions of the bears, will the bulls ever let up? At this very moment, as we're still kind of waiting to hear back on the final confirmation of this Congress baloney, Bitcoin has many times breached above 46K at this point, as ETH has been above 3,000, and overall the crypto market is doing something very, very big. And we're at the absolute precipice. The very last giant significant resistance is here, but I think what you're about to see is absolutely huge for both the bears and the bulls. Further Magoo, let's pump on in. So if we start off here, guys, I just want to mention this because I could see this happening over the next week or two. Again, time frame's a little hard to tell, but it would absolutely freak even some people that consider themselves permabulls out, and it would give the bears more confidence than they could ever need. It would be the ultimate squeeze. And again, it's just a scenario I want to talk about. Not saying it'll play out tomorrow. Personally, it's just something I think we need to wait for as we hover around this 200 DMA and this 21 weekly. But pretty much, if Bitcoin visits that 50-week again, imagine every single bear in the world would be absolutely dripping at the thought of, Bitcoin absolutely hitting that 20K, that 10K target that they so desperately want, and getting a very similar repeat of 2017. And basically what I'm talking about would be something, let's actually zoom back here to here where we initially had that drop. We come back up to the 21 week, fail. Right here's the 50 week. And then I'm talking more about this scenario where we go to the 50 week, up to the 20 week, fail, and breach the 50 week. And ultimately, again, I think a lot of bears would love that scenario. And again, it would be an absolutely insane scenario if that would happen. Not something I think makes a lot of sense. I think this market obviously is a little bit too bullish, but just as the most insane short squeeze scenario that I could ever imagine, I just think it's worth keeping in the back of our minds because I don't think there would be a bear that exists that would not be like all-inning a short position at that point in anticipation of what they finally believe would be a 10K level. However, what I think would be more realistic, we're actually going to be talking about towards the middle of this video, but right now we're actually, again, this is just a huge test above the 200 day moving average, which is pretty much right where the 21 week moving average is as well. And remember, after 10 straight green daily candles, Bitcoin only needed 4 days of dumping 4 red candles to reset, to backtest only the high $37,000 range. And at this point, the 21 day now is above 38,000. It's actually right around 39,000, which again, if we would ever get a pullback, that is a big level to look for as an ultimate daily close support, right around wherever that 21 day moving average is. It changes every day, but we have that now coming up. We have the 50-day moving average all the way around 35.5, which I personally think is the very lowest range where I think we could see amidst even the biggest pullback of the rest of this rally. So people are talking about a lot of different targets, 30K, 20K, 10K, everything like that. What I'm saying is, at this point, what I think would be the very lowest backtest level possible, again, I think would be like the 35.5-ish. But when I say that doesn't mean I think it's going to happen. All I'm saying is I think that would be the absolute lowest. I mean, at this point, Bitcoin is at 46,000, almost 500 US dollars. So well over $10,000 above that. Basically, my point is, even in a very bearish scenario here, Bitcoin is in a very good position now. And Ethereum actually basically setting new highs right as we speak as well. Ethereum, we're going to be getting back into Bitcoin, but Ethereum is right now, after just 2 days so far, this could go out a little bit longer, but already backtested its last big level of resistance, potentially now turning that into support. Just like we did right here at the beginning of August. Okay, this was a massive level of resistance. We saw resistance here in April, and then for multi-months here. And we flipped it, already came back and tested it, and immediately went back up. So the market technically right now is doing exactly what it should, just in a very, very bullish way, meaning we're getting back tests, but sometimes back tests can take days, even weeks. We're getting back tests for sometimes a single day, like in this case. with Bitcoin as well. As I said, only 4 days kind of getting a back test, a little bit bigger than Ethereum, but still, technically we're putting in structure, healthy structure for an actual breakout. So these breakouts have been, as you can see, very consistent. I mean, for pizza's sake, over the last 20 days, has there been what, like 2 red candles and like 18 green, maybe even more green than that. But the point is, it's been healthy price action to the upside as opposed to just very, very massive wicks that immediately break support and resistance and just create nasty structure. Instead, what we're putting in is, or what we're seeing is just a very bullish environment right now with Bitcoin, whereas a lot of people, I still think, believe we have a lot more to go, even just this year. But yeah, if we go to Bitcoin's chart here, another major thing we did over the past couple of days was flipped this multi-month downtrend line into support here. We initially got rejected here on July 31st, back tested that $37,000 level on this chart right here, and then we made it and we blasted past it. But on this chart, you can see this $46,000 to $47,000 resistance level, which is a gigantic fettuccine level of resistance right here too, right about exactly where we're trading right now. Next big one is above 50K, right around 53. And aside from that would be pretty much all-time highs. So 52 to 53 is like the final big fettuccine level, but we're actually at a pretty significant one right now. And you can see on these smaller time frames, kind of just trading right here, that very last one, again, right up around that 52,000. There's a smaller one, obviously right around between 48 and 49. But absolutely very big. If we go to Bitcoin's weekly chart here, guys, what I think worst case scenario, I mean, I personally think we are going to see a pullback at some point. Looking at this chart, even with very green, but again, if this is going to be the final few months of this cycle, then we might see something where we don't really stop. But, I think the more pullbacks we have along the way, the further the cycle might get extended. For example, as we had that 3-month downtrend, obviously, I think a lot of people agree the cycle is now extended a little bit more. If we're going to be following a traditional cycle, it could actually get pushed out a little bit because of this prolonged level. Or what we could see, again, is just a repeat of 2013, which is where we just blast up way faster and not as healthy as we might want. And we see something way higher than a lot of people expect. But ultimately, again, I talked about 35 being the absolute lowest level. I'm talking like a wick that might, spend literal seconds there, where we ultimately bottom around like 37 or 38. I think that would make the most sense. So something like this, worst case for a pullback. And this is something over the next few weeks. Ideally, again, I think a situation that makes a lot of sense right now is if we keep moving as high as we can to see really how much we can actually break through the 21 week and the 200 day, because at this point we have momentum. But with every market, at some point it does roll over, and so we switch momentum and just ultimately get a back test. And just a scenario like this, I think would be something absolutely healthy. And I think it would throw people off though, because I think a lot of people would think, wow, maybe it was a bull trap, and the bears would be absolutely convinced that it was. But in the wider context, it would be a much different structure than a bull trap, okay? Just because a price goes up to the 21 week and then might get a rejection after a few weeks or something, and then solidifies more support higher than the lows of the last few months around 28 to 30,000. Just because a scenario like that might happen does not automatically make it a bull trap. And in fact, my point here is that the exact opposite. It could be the biggest trap there is. And so many people thinking that it would be a bull trap would be one of those things that makes it absolutely shoot up way higher than I think a lot of people expect. Because I think a lot of people realize that the emotionality of the market can switch in a second. Like right now, people are very bullish. If Bitcoin would drop under 40K, believe me, the entire space would get extremely bearish. So sentiment is hard to judge because it's so easy, it's so quick to change. Psychology is very fragile. But it's just a scenario I'm looking for here. But ultimately, the higher we can get above here, and ultimately I think 50K is a target I think a lot of people are looking at. And again, imagine this scenario. We go up to 50K and we do initiate some kind of pullback like that. Believe me, a lot of people are going to get very, very bearish. And when a lot of people get very, very bearish, same thing happens when a lot of people get bullish. It often goes the exact opposite way. Hello? And without any further ado, that's it for me. Bye-bye.